Please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories. The Unlikely Rescue. A Single Dad's Second Chance. No, please, work, Ethan murmured as he swiped his card for the third time in the reader. The error beep echoed again throughout the supermarket. Sir, do you have another form of payment? The cashier asked impatiently, looking at the long queue that had formed behind him. Isabella began to cry louder in his arms, as if sensing her father's tension. Ethan searched desperately through his wallet, finding only a few wrinkled notes that didn't cover even half of the nappies and formula he needed. I'll take care of it, a soft voice said behind him. Ethan turned to see a young woman in the supermarket's yellow uniform. Her hazel eyes radiated a warmth that contrasted with the cold lights of the store. Without waiting for a response, she slid her employee card and her own debit card towards the cashier. I can't let you do this, Ethan protested. But Isabella had calmed down upon seeing the stranger, extending her small hands towards her with a radiant smile. Everyone needs help sometimes, Serena replied with a genuine smile, gently taking Isabella's hand. Besides, she's beautiful. What's her name? Isabella. And I'm Ethan, he replied, surprised by the ease with which his daughter had accepted this stranger. I'm Serena, she introduced herself as the cashier finished processing the payment. And it's not generosity, it's just humanity. As Serena helped pack the items, Ethan couldn't stop watching her. Her movements were efficient yet gentle, and she spoke to Isabella in a musical tone that made the baby giggle for the first time in days. Do you work here every night? Ethan asked, trying to prolong the moment. Only on weekends and some nights during the week. I'm studying nursing at the University of London, Serena explained as she handed him the bags. I have to go. My supervisor is giving me a look. Wait, at least let me pay you. It's not necessary, she interrupted. Just take good care of this little princess. Ethan watched her walk away towards the customer service area, where she began reorganizing some shelves with the same dedication she had shown to Isabella. His phone vibrated insistently with calls he continued to ignore. In the car park, as he buckled Isabella into her car seat, Ethan reflected on what had just happened. For months, no one had shown genuine kindness towards him or his daughter without expecting something in return. The lawyers wanted money, his ex-wife wanted revenge, and her family wanted to destroy him. But this young woman named Serena had acted without knowing him, without judging him, simply because it was the right thing to do. He looked at the receipt. It had her last name, Ramirez. Ethan carefully put the paper in his wallet, promising himself he would find a way to thank her properly. Meanwhile, Serena finished her shift, thinking about the man in the expensive suit and the adorable baby. There was something familiar about his face, but she couldn't place him. What she did know was that she had seen real vulnerability in his eyes, not the arrogance she expected from someone dressed like that. Upon arriving at her small flat in Brixton, she found her mother waiting for her, awake. How was work, my child? Quiet, Mum, though I helped a single dad who was in trouble, Serena replied as she poured herself a glass of water. He had a beautiful baby. You did well. God puts people in our path who need our help, Hope said with a smile. How are your studies going? Good, though I have to study for my anatomy exam. It's tomorrow, Serena sighed. And Liam? You know, with his strange friends. I told him that if he doesn't improve his grades, he'll have to get a job. Serena felt worried. Her younger brother had been hanging out with some problematic people from the neighborhood, and she feared he would make bad decisions. It was one more reason to stay focused on her studies and work. That night, as she reviewed her nursing notes, Serena couldn't get the image of Ethan holding Isabella with such tenderness out of her mind. There was something special in the way he looked at her, as if she were the most important thing in the world. For his part, Ethan put Isabella to bed in the crib, in the small flat he had rented after his assets were frozen. The empty walls and basic furniture were a stark contrast to the mansion where they had lived before. But at least here there was peace. As Isabella slept, Ethan allowed himself to check the messages he had ignored all night. 20 missed calls from his lawyer, 10 from Robert, his assistant, and 3 voicemail messages from his ex-wife, Catherine, with veiled threats about custody. But for the first time in months, he didn't feel the crushing weight of his problems. The image of Serena smiling at Isabella had given him something he had lost. Hope. Hope that good people still existed in the world, that perhaps Isabella would grow up surrounded by genuine kindness instead of the poison that had characterized his marriage. Without knowing it, both Ethan and Serena fell asleep that night, thinking about the chance encounter that had just changed the course of their lives forever. A small act of kindness ignites a deep connection. What shocking truth do you think Ethan is hiding about his life? And what will Serena do when she finds out? Share your predictions in the comments and subscribe for the unfolding drama. "Oh, I'm so sorry," Serena cried as her notebooks flew through the air, soaking in the coffee she had just spilled all over the stranger. "Don't worry about it, Ethan stopped mid-sentence as he recognized those warm hazel eyes that had calmed Isabella 3 weeks ago. "It's you, the girl from the supermarket." Isabella, who had been fussing in her father's arms, immediately reached her little arms out to Serena with a radiant smile. "Hello, princess," Serena said automatically, taking the baby as Ethan collected his wet notebooks. "Oh no, your notes are ruined. I'm so sorry." "You don't need to apologize after what you did for us." Ethan genuinely laughed for the first time in weeks. "It wasn't necessary for you to look for me," Serena murmured, feeling self-conscious in her disheveled appearance after running through the rain. "I wasn't looking for you, but I won't lie. I hope to see you again," Ethan admitted. "Do you have time for a coffee? I need to buy you new notebooks and explain why I was in that pathetic situation." Serena looked at her watch. She had a pharmacology class in an hour, but something about the way Ethan looked at Isabella, with so much love and exhaustion at the same time, moved her. "All right, but only for half an hour." In the small cafe near the university, Ethan chose a secluded table, while Isabella played with Serena's fingers, completely fascinated. "What are you studying?" Ethan asked as they ordered coffee. "Nursing. I'm specializing in pediatrics," Serena replied. "I've always loved children. And you said you worked in technology?" Ethan hesitated for a moment. "Yes, I develop mobile applications. Nothing very exciting." He lied, hating himself for it, but fearing the truth would push her away. "Isabella and I have been through some difficult times lately." "Her mom?" "She left when Isabella was 6 months old." Ethan clenched his fists. "She said she wasn't ready to be a mother, that it had been a mistake. The divorce has been complicated." Serena felt a pang of sadness in her chest, seeing the pain in Ethan's eyes. "I'm so sorry. I can't imagine how anyone could abandon this beautiful girl. Catherine came from a very traditional, very demanding family. I think the pressure got to her. Honestly, Isabella is better off without that negativity. And what about your family? Do they help you?" Serena told him about her father's death, about having to grow up overnight to help support her family. She told him about Liam and her worries, about her mother who worked cleaning offices, and her dreams of becoming a pediatric nurse. "You sound like an incredible person," Ethan said, with genuine admiration. "Isabella has a good eye for choosing her favorite people." As if she had understood, Isabella clapped and babbled something that sounded like, "Reina!" "Did she just say—" Serena got emotional. "I think she tried to say your name." Ethan smiled. It's her first word that isn't daddy or mummy. Time flew by. Serena had to run to her class, but not before Ethan bought her new notebooks and asked for her phone number. "Would you like to have dinner with me, with us, one day?" he asked nervously. "Nothing fancy, I promise. Just somewhere quiet where Isabella won't bother other diners." Serena accepted, surprising herself at how natural it all felt. Their first date was at a small restaurant in Soho. Ethan had changed his suit for jeans and a casual shirt, and he looked more relaxed than ever. Serena had chosen her best dress, a simple but flattering one she had bought in a second-hand shop. "This place is perfect," Ethan said, looking at the walls filled with old photos of London. "Do you come here often?" "My dad used to bring me here when I was a child," Serena replied nostalgically. "Mr. Roberts, the owner, knows my whole family." Indeed, the old man approached with a huge smile upon seeing her. "Serena, my child, how is your mother? And is this handsome young man your boyfriend?" "Mr. Roberts, this is Ethan, a friend." Serena blushed. "And this is Isabella." "What a beautiful baby." The old man made funny faces that made Isabella giggle. "I'm going to bring you my special of the day." During dinner, Ethan discovered a completely new world. Serena knew the waiter, asked about the cook's family, and insisted on splitting the bill despite his protests. "Are you always like that?" Ethan asked as they walked through the cobblestone streets. "Like what?" "Genuine, unpretentious, as if you really care about people." Ethan reflected on his own world, full of people who only approached for their own gain, where every conversation had a hidden agenda. "It should be normal," he finally replied. In the following weeks, they fell into a routine. Ethan would pick her up from class to have coffee. She would help him with Isabella while he took work calls, which were really sessions with his lawyers. Serena taught Ethan to make homemade baby food for Isabella, while he helped her with her anatomy studies, surprising her with his detailed knowledge of the subject. "How do you know so much about medicine?" she asked one day. "I read a lot," he replied evasively. "I was always interested in health." But each lie weighed more on his conscience. When Serena mentioned her worries about tuition money, he wanted to help but couldn't, without revealing his true situation. When she worked double shifts at the supermarket, he wished he could offer her financial stability. One night, after Serena had to leave early from a date to cover a sick colleague's shift, Ethan was left staring at his phone, with Robert's number on the screen. A single call, and he could solve all of Serena's financial problems. But he could also lose forever the first genuine relationship he had ever had in his life. Isabella, as if sensing his internal conflict, crawled towards him and put her small hand on his cheek, babbling, "Reina," with a hopeful smile. Ethan understood that it was no longer just about him. Isabella had found the maternal love she needed in Serena, and he had found the partner he had always been looking for. But how could he build a future on a lie? A CEO's secret threatens to destroy a fragile new love. What will Ethan choose? Honesty or security? What advice would you give him? Share your wisdom in the comments and subscribe for the inevitable confrontation. "Ethan, we need to talk." His lawyer's voice was tense on the phone. "The Thorne family is putting on a lot of pressure. They want Isabella to spend more time with her mother." Ethan squeezed the phone while rocking Isabella, who had woken up from her nap crying. "Catherine abandoned her daughter. She has no right to decide anything. Legally, she does. And they're arguing that your unstable financial situation is not good for the child." "Unstable? My assets are frozen because of their legal maneuvering, not because I'm bankrupt." "I know, but we need to demonstrate stability. Are you still living in that small apartment?" Ethan looked around. The modest two-bedroom flat had been his refuge, but now he saw it with a critical eye. "It's temporary." "Well, you need to make it permanent and presentable. The social worker is coming next week." Meanwhile, at the supermarket, Serena faced her own crisis. She had arrived late from university to find her brother Liam with a black eye and torn clothes. "What happened to you?" she asked during her break, talking on the phone from the car park. "Nothing, Serena, I just fell." "Liam, don't lie to me. Mom is worried sick. It's some guys from the neighborhood. They say Dad owed them money before he died, and now the debt is ours. Serena felt her world crash down. How much? £200,000. They say if we don't pay in 2 weeks, they'll do something worse. That night, Serena stayed up calculating. With her supermarket salary and the private tutoring she did, she barely covered their basic expenses. £200,000 was impossible to get in 2 weeks. The next day, Ethan immediately noticed something was wrong. "Are you all right? You have dark circles under your eyes," he said, as they had coffee in their usual spot. "Just tired from studying," Serena lied, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. Isabella, sensitive to changes in mood, became restless and started to cry. Serena automatically picked her up, singing a lullaby that calmed her instantly. "You're magic with her," Ethan observed. "Serena, if you need anything, money for your tuition, help with anything." "No, Ethan. Thank you, but I can't accept that," she replied firmly. "You also have expenses, and Isabella is your priority. But I have some savings from my work. I could lend you—" "Where do you have those savings from?" Serena asked suspiciously. "Programmers don't earn that much, and you have legal expenses from the divorce." Ethan fell silent, caught in his own lie. "I worked for a big company before. I have some emergency funds." That same night, after dropping Serena off at her flat, Ethan made a decision that would haunt him for weeks. He called his personal lawyer, not the one handling the divorce. "I need you to transfer £200,000 anonymously to a family. I'll send you the details by message." "Mr. Vance, your personal funds are limited by the court order." "Use my emergency credit line, the one I have set aside for Isabella." 2 days later, Serena received a call that changed everything. "Ms. Hayes, I'm Mr. Parker, your university's legal aid representative. I have instructions to inform you that an anonymous benefactor has paid a debt on behalf of your family." "What? I don't understand." "The person prefers to remain anonymous, but they wanted you to know that your brother's debt is settled. The individuals involved have been notified and won't bother you again." Serena hung up the phone, trembling. Who could have done something like this? Her eyes filled with tears of relief and confusion. That afternoon, when she met Ethan, she couldn't hide her emotion. "Something incredible happened. Someone paid my family's debts. I don't know who, but—" Ethan felt a mixture of relief and guilt upon seeing her happiness. "That's wonderful. It must be someone who really cares about you. But who? I don't know anyone with so much money who would do something like that without wanting anything in return. Maybe it's someone who understood you deserved help," Ethan replied, avoiding her gaze. The following weeks were the happiest for both of them. Ethan passed the social worker's visit after Serena helped make the flat look more homely, bringing plants and some borrowed furniture from her house. Isabella had started taking her first steps, always heading towards Serena with her arms outstretched. They spent nights, all three of them together, Ethan reviewing legal documents, while Serena did her homework, and Isabella played on the floor between them. "This feels like a real family," Ethan murmured one night, while Isabella slept on the sofa between them. "Yes," Serena agreed, resting her head on his shoulder. "I didn't know I could feel so complete." But their happiness was interrupted when Isabella's first birthday arrived. Serena had insisted on having the party at her flat, even though Ethan had suggested a bigger venue. "My family wants to meet you and Isabella," she had said. "Besides, the best parties are the ones you have at home." The small celebration was perfect. Serena's mother had baked a homemade cake, Liam had helped with the decorations, and Isabella was delighted with all the attention. Ethan felt overwhelmed by the genuine warmth of Serena's family. No one asked him about his job or his possessions. They only cared if he had enough food, if Isabella was comfortable, if he needed anything. "I've never seen Isabella so happy," he told Hope, Serena's mother. "Children feel real love," the woman wisely replied. "And it's clear you two love each other very much." It was in that moment of perfect happiness that Dr. Hayes, Serena's professor, arrived with some books she had promised to lend her. "Serena, I brought the books you asked for your thesis on microfinance," she said, stopping when she saw Ethan. "Is that Ethan Hayes, professor?" Serena looked confused. "He's Ethan, my boyfriend. Ethan Hayes, from Innovate Solutions," the professor insisted, clearly emotional. "I've read all your articles on financial inclusion. Your work revolutionized mobile payments in Latin America." The silence in the room was deafening. Serena looked at Ethan, then at her professor, then back at Ethan. "No, it can't be," Serena murmured. "Ethan, tell her she's mistaken." But the expression on Ethan's face said it all. The guilt, the shame, and the fear he had been hiding for months finally surfaced. "Serena, I can explain. You are him," she whispered. "The millionaire. All this time, you lied to me." Isabella, sensing the tension, started to cry. Serena automatically picked her up, but this time she couldn't calm her. "Please, let me explain," Ethan pleaded. "I think it's better if you leave," she said with a broken voice. "All of you." Ethan was left standing in the living room, surrounded by the remnants of the perfect party that had turned into his worst nightmare. The family he had found, the love he had won, everything was crumbling because of the lies he had built to protect it. The truth is out, but at what cost? Will Serena be able to forgive Ethan's web of lies, or is their love destined to shatter? Share your emotional insights in the comments, and subscribe for the inevitable confrontation. The days after the revelation were the longest in Sophia's life. Every time her phone rang with messages from Diego, she felt a mixture of pain and rage that consumed her from within. "Please, let me explain. I didn't mean to hurt you. Isabella misses you. I love you." Sophia deleted every message without reading more than the first few words. "My daughter, maybe you should listen to him," her mother suggested as they prepared breakfast. "Men make mistakes, but that boy truly seems to love you." "How can you say that, Mom? He lied to me for months. Everything I thought I knew about him was a lie." "Was his love for Isabella a lie? The way he looked at you, how he took care of you?" Sophia didn't answer, but her eyes filled with tears. She missed Diego more than she wanted to admit. But worse, she missed Isabella. The baby had become a part of her heart, and the sudden separation hurt like a physical wound. In his flat, Diego lived his own hell. Isabella cried constantly, looking for Rena everywhere. She didn't eat well, she didn't sleep well, and she rejected the toys that used to entertain her. "She's depressed," Robert, his assistant, told him. "Children also suffer from love." "I don't know what to do," Diego admitted, holding Isabella, who was sobbing inconsolably. "I ruined everything. The only woman I've ever truly loved, and I lost her because I was a coward. Why didn't you tell her the truth from the beginning? Because I knew this would happen. That she would think I was playing with her, that everything was a lie." Diego ran a hand through his hair. "And now Catherine is using this against me." Indeed, Diego's ex-wife had discovered the relationship and was using it as legal ammunition. "An unstable man who deceives vulnerable women cannot raise my daughter," she had declared at the preliminary hearing. Diego's lawyers tried to minimize the damage, but the situation became more complicated every day. Meanwhile, Sophia tried to continue her normal routine, but everything reminded her of Diego and Isabella. In the supermarket, the baby products aisle made her sigh. At the university, she saw young parents with their children, and her chest tightened. Her friends tried to cheer her up. "Forget him, Sophia. It was too good to be true," Sarah, her study partner, told her. "Rich men just play with us." But Sophia couldn't forget the tenderness with which Diego held Isabella, or how his eyes lit up when she talked about her professional dreams. Was it possible to fake so much love? A week after the breakup, Sophia was at the hospital during her practicum when she saw something that took her breath away. Diego was in the pediatric play area, sitting on the floor, reading a story to a group of sick children. She hid behind a pillar to watch him. Diego wasn't wearing his expensive suit, but jeans and a simple shirt. There were no photographers or cameras, just him sharing his time with children who needed a distraction from their treatments. "Do you know the story man?" a nurse asked. "He comes every Wednesday. He never says his name, just that he wants to help." Sophia felt something stir in her chest. This was not the behavior of someone who just wanted to clean up his public image. The next day, without planning it, she found herself walking through the Soho market, where she knew Diego bought fresh vegetables for Isabella. She saw him at a stall, haggling for the price of carrots like any normal father. "Oh, sir, those are too expensive. Isabella needs the freshest ones, but I can't afford so much," she heard him say. The vendor moved, gave him a discount. Diego thanked him sincerely and continued his shopping, carrying Isabella in a simple baby carrier. Sophia followed him from a distance, watching how he had adapted to a life without luxury. He took the bus, waited in line at the bank like anyone else, and treated everyone with genuine respect. But when Diego turned, and their eyes met through the crowd, Sophia panicked and ran. That night, her phone rang with a call from an unknown number. "Sophia, it's Dr. Morales, your professor." "Professor, yes, it's about Diego." "Listen to me, my child. I just saw the news. That boy is losing custody of his daughter because of a vindictive ex-wife. And part of the arguments they're using against him is that his unstable relationship makes him a bad father." Sophia felt her blood run cold. "What do you mean?" "It's a news report. The paper shows him defending his relationship with you. She has proof of you guys living together, and it's being used in court. Maybe your wounded pride is helping separate a baby from her father." After hanging up, Sophia stayed awake all night. In the morning, she turned on the news and saw the report that would change everything. Diego was at a press conference, looking gaunt and clearly exhausted, defending his right to raise Isabella. "My private life should not determine my capacity as a father," he said. "Isabella is my world, and I will do anything to protect and care for her." A reporter asked about his working-class girlfriend, and if it was true he had lied about his identity. "The person you're talking about deserves respect and privacy," Diego responded firmly. "She never asked to be in this situation, and any mistake was completely mine. She is an extraordinary woman who only showed kindness to my daughter and me, and I will not allow her to be attacked for my cowardice." When they asked if they were still together, Diego hesitated before answering with a broken voice. "I hope one day to deserve her forgiveness." The report ended with images of Diego leaving the courthouse, carrying Isabella, who was sobbing inconsolably, screaming, "Reina! Reina! Reina!" Sophia turned off the television, tears streaming down her cheeks. Her phone immediately began to ring. "Did you see the news?" her mother asked. "That baby needs you, Sophia, and that man is truly suffering." For the first time in weeks, Sophia allowed herself to consider that maybe she had misjudged Diego. Maybe his feelings had been genuine, and his lie was born of fear, not manipulation. But it was too late to fix the damage they had both caused. That afternoon, while studying in the library, she received a message from an unknown number. "Reina is sad. Daddy is sad. Come home." Underneath was a photo that Diego had taken of Isabella holding his phone, with tears in her eyes and her arms outstretched towards the camera. Sophia closed her books and made a decision that would change everything again. A heartbreaking plea from a child. What will Sophia do now that she sees the truth behind the lies? What is the right choice for her and Isabella? Share your emotional insights and subscribe for the powerful climax. Sophia arrived at Diego's flat, her heart pounding so hard she was sure it could be heard in the hallway. Before she could knock, she heard Isabella's inconsolable crying from inside. When Diego opened the door, his appearance shocked her. He had deep, dark circles, a few days' beard, and his shirt was stained with baby food. "Sophia," he whispered, as if seeing a ghost. Isabella, hearing the familiar voice, stopped crying instantly and crawled towards the door at full speed, screaming, "Reina! Reina!" Sophia knelt, and the baby launched herself into her arms, clinging to her as if she feared she would disappear again. "Hello, my love," Sophia murmured, her eyes welling with tears. "I missed you so much." Diego watched them without daring to move, fearing that any gesture would break the moment. "Can we talk?" Sophia finally asked, without letting go of Isabella. "Of course, please, come in." The flat was a mess, with toys scattered everywhere and dirty dishes on the table. It was clear that Diego had been struggling to keep everything under control. They sat on the sofa, Isabella snuggled in Sophia's lap, playing with her hair as she used to do. "I saw the news," Sophia began, "and your press conference. I never wanted you to be involved in this," Diego said. "When you said my full name, I knew everything was going to fall apart. Why did you lie to me, Diego? That's what I don't understand. If you had told me the truth from the beginning." "Because I was scared," he admitted. "My marriage was a disaster because Catherine only saw me as a status symbol. Her family never accepted me as a person, only as a convenient bank account. When I met you, for the first time, someone treated me like a normal human being." Sophia watched him as he spoke, seeing the vulnerability that had always been there, but that she had misinterpreted as evasiveness. "I was afraid that if you knew who I really was, everything would change," Diego continued. "That you would start treating me differently, or worse, that you would think I was playing with you. But by lying, you did exactly that," Sophia pointed out. "You made me feel like a fool who had fallen for your game." "I know, and it's the biggest mistake of my life." Diego leaned forward. "Every day that passed, I fell more in love with you, but the lie also grew bigger. I didn't know how to get out of the hole I had dug for myself." Isabella had started to fall asleep in Sophia's arms, exhausted by the emotions. "Was the money to pay my family's debts from you?" Sophia asked. "Did you do that?" "Yes. It was the only thing I could think of to do. I couldn't stand seeing you so worried. And you couldn't tell me the truth without revealing everything. Do you realize what that made me feel? Like I was your charity project?" "No," Diego exclaimed, but lowered his voice as Isabella stirred. "You were never charity, Sophia. You're the woman I fell in love with. Paying that debt was because I couldn't bear to see you worried, not because I saw you as someone in need of my pity." Sophia remained silent for a long time, stroking Isabella's hair. "Are you going to lose custody?" she finally asked. "It's possible. Catherine's lawyers are arguing that I'm emotionally unstable, that my deception towards you shows a lack of moral character." "That's ridiculous. You're the best dad I've ever known." "But I have no way to prove it legally." "I do." Sophia looked at him, filled with determination. "I can testify. The final hearing is next week, and my lawyer says I need to demonstrate emotional stability and a solid family environment. Sophia, you can't get involved in this. The media will be cruel to you. They'll investigate your life, your family." "Isabella needs me," Sophia said with determination. "And you do too. I won't allow a woman who abandoned her baby to take her from the man who has dedicated his life to caring for her. Are you sure? Once you do this, there's no going back. Your private life will become public." "I'm sure." Sophia leaned in and kissed Isabella's forehead. "But I need you to promise me something. Anything. Never lie to me again. Not even to protect me. If we're going to do this, it has to be with total honesty between us." Diego nodded vigorously. I promise. And Sophia, I love you. I never stopped loving you. Not for a second. I love you too, she finally admitted. That's why it hurts so much. They kissed over Isabella's head, sealing their reconciliation and their commitment to fight together. The following days were a whirlwind of preparation. Diego's lawyer, initially skeptical about Sophia's involvement, changed his mind after meeting her. She's perfect, he told Diego. Genuine, articulate, and she clearly loves Isabella. If she can withstand the cross-examination, we could win this. Sophia prepared intensely, studying every aspect of Diego's relationship with Isabella, documenting every moment of his loving fatherhood she had witnessed. The night before the hearing, while Isabella slept between them on the sofa, Diego took Sophia's hand. No matter what happens tomorrow, I want you to know that these months with you have been the happiest of my life. There will be many more years, Sophia replied with confidence. Isabella is going to grow up with her two parents who love her and love each other. Two parents? Her biological dad and her heart mom, Sophia smiled. Because that's what I am, isn't it? Isabella is my daughter too. Diego kissed her with tears in his eyes, knowing that no matter what happened in court, they had already won the most important battle. The next day, they walked out together towards the courthouse, ready to fight for their love and for Isabella's future. The photographers were waiting for them, but this time they walked with their heads held high, holding hands, with Isabella in Sophia's arms, facing together what destiny had in store for them. The legal battle was about to begin, but the battle for love had already been won. A powerful choice rooted in love and honesty. What will happen in the courtroom? What do you think the future holds for this unconventional family? Share your emotional insights and subscribe for the beautiful conclusion. 6 months after the hearing, Sophia woke up to the familiar sound of Isabella babbling in her crib and the aroma of coffee Diego was brewing in the kitchen. It was a morning like any other, but it was also special. Her last day as a university student. Good morning, my love. Diego greeted her with a kiss and a cup of coffee, while Isabella crawled towards her, shouting, Mommy! Good morning, princess. Sophia picked up Isabella, who was now 18 months old, and talked constantly. Ready to see Mummy graduate? Yes, Mummy, doctor. Isabella clapped, although she didn't fully understand what it meant. The custody hearing had resulted in a complete victory for Diego. Sophia's testimony had been devastating for Catherine's case, especially when she described in detail how Diego got up every night when Isabella had nightmares, how he had learned to make homemade baby food, and how he had never lost his patience with his daughter. The decisive moment came when Catherine's lawyers tried to discredit Sophia, implying she was only with Diego for money. Miss Ramirez, the condescending lawyer had said, isn't it true that you knew Mr. Hayes' true identity from the beginning? No, I did not, Sophia had replied firmly. But you know what? I fell in love with a man who changed nappies at 3 a.m, who sang off-key lullabies, and who cared more about his daughter's well-being than about any material thing. The money was the last thing I discovered about him, not the first. The judge had found a fundamental contradiction in Catherine's arguments. She couldn't claim maternal love after having voluntarily abandoned a baby for 8 months. But the real surprise came when it was revealed that Catherine had been living with another man during the entire divorce process, and that the Thorne family had tried to manipulate Diego's finances to force a favorable settlement. The irony of life, Diego's lawyer had commented. By trying to use your relationship with Sophia against you, they ended up exposing themselves. Diego had regained not only full custody of Isabella, but also full control of his business assets. Now, as they prepared for Sophia's graduation, Diego reflected on how his life had changed. His company had pivoted towards financial inclusion products for low-income families, inspired by the stories Sophia had told him about her community. "Nervous about the graduation?" he asked Sophia as she put on the blue dress they had chosen together. "A little," she admitted, "but more excited. Tomorrow I start my job at the Mercy Hospital. In the pediatric department we helped fund." Diego smiled. "That your foundation helped fund," Sophia corrected him. "I just suggested it was a good cause." The new pediatric hospital had been the first major joint project of the Hayes Foundation, an organization that combined Diego's resources with Sophia's knowledge of community needs. At the graduation ceremony, Sophia walked across the stage with Isabella in her arms. The dean had made a special exception, as Diego applauded from the audience with Hope and Liam. Sophia Ramirez graduated magna cum laude in nursing with a specialization in pediatrics, the presenter announced. Isabella clapped and shouted, "Mummy Doctor!" causing laughter throughout the audience. After the ceremony, as they took family photos in the university gardens, Diego suddenly got nervous. "Sophia, there's something I want to ask you." He knelt in the same spot where they had met for the second time months ago. The small group of family members fell silent as Diego pulled out a small velvet box. "This ring is made with the gold from your grandmother's earring, the one you showed me in photos," he explained in a trembling voice, "because I wanted it to carry your family's story, not just the promise of our future." Sophia covered her mouth with her hands, instantly recognizing the delicate design that incorporated the cross that had belonged to her grandmother. "Sophia Ramirez, will you marry me? Will you officially be Isabella's mummy and the woman I want to build a family with?" "Yes!" Sophia shouted before he could finish the question. "Yes! Yes! Yes!" Isabella, understanding that something important was happening, started clapping and shouting, "Mummy, Daddy, family!" As Diego put the ring on her finger, Sophia looked around, her mother crying with happiness, Liam recording everything on his phone, Isabella laughing in her grandmother's arms, and Diego with tears in his eyes. "You know what's the most ironic part of all this?" she whispered to Diego as they kissed. "What?" "That I thought you were too poor to buy nappies, and you turned out to be the richest person I had ever met." "Rich in money?" "Rich in love," Sophia smiled, "which is the only thing that really matters." That night, they celebrated in the same Soho restaurant where they had their first date. Mr. Roberts, now officially Isabella's adopted grandfather, had prepared a special dinner and closed the place just for them. "I toast to happy endings," Hope said, raising her glass, "and to new beginnings. To second chances," Diego added. "To love that overcomes any difference," Sophia concluded. Isabella, from her high chair, raised her juice cup and shouted, "Cheers!" making everyone laugh. As the night went on, and wedding plans began to take shape, Diego and Sophia went to the small patio of the restaurant for a moment. "Do you regret anything?" Diego asked. "Only one thing," Sophia replied thoughtfully. "What?" "Not buying more nappies that night at the supermarket." She smiled. "Maybe I would have met you sooner." Diego picked her up and spun her as they laughed under the stars of London, the city that had seen them fall in love, fight, get lost, and find each other again. In a few months they would marry, but they were already a family. A family that had been born in a supermarket aisle, had grown through lies and truths, and had been strengthened by facing adversity together. Their love story had begun with an act of kindness between strangers, and had flourished into the foundation of a life built on honesty, mutual respect, and unconditional love for a little girl who had united them forever. 18 months after her graduation, the Hope Pediatric Hospital was bustling with activity on a typical Tuesday morning. In the neonatal intensive care unit, the head nurse, Sophia Ramirez Hayes, carefully checked the monitors of her tiny patients, her expert hands adjusting the incubators with a precision that only comes from years of experience and genuine love for children. "Nurse Hayes, the baby in room 3 is crying for your attention," Dr. Matthews, the head of pediatrics, joked. "I think he already recognizes your voice." Sophia smiled as she went to attend to the premature newborn who had arrived the previous week. It was one of the most delicate cases she had ever handled, but also one of the most hopeful. The parents, a young couple with limited resources, reminded her of herself years ago, full of love, but overwhelmed by circumstances. "Hello, little warrior," she whispered as she gently adjusted his oxygen tubes. "Today is an important day. Your dad says your big sister wants to meet you. Sophia has a visitor in the family area," her assistant informed her with a knowing smile. Sophia walked towards the small lounge that Ethan had designed especially for doctors' families to spend time in during long shifts. There she found Isabella, now 2.5 years old, running between the toys, while Ethan tried to convince her to sit down for lunch. "Mommy!" Isabella shouted, launching herself towards her. "I brought you a sandwich!" "Really, my love?" Sophia knelt to receive the hug. "Daddy helped you make it?" "I did it all by myself," Isabella declared proudly, though it was clear Ethan had supervised every step. "With ham and cheese, just how you like it." Ethan approached to give his wife a kiss. After a year of marriage, they still felt butterflies every time they saw each other. "How are the little patients today?" he asked as Sophia sat down to eat with them. "Good. The baby in room 4 is responding better than expected. I think he can go home next week." "That's excellent news," Ethan smiled. His parents have been so worried. Speaking of news, Sophia took a sip of her juice. "Dr. Matthews offered me to head the new training program for pediatric nurses." "Sophia, that's incredible!" Ethan hugged her. "You completely deserve it. It means more responsibilities, more hours, and more opportunities to help other people like you helped Isabella and me." Ethan interrupted. "Except, I can adjust my schedule to spend more time with Isabella." The little girl, who had been half listening while drawing, looked up. "Mommy is going to be the boss of the doctors." "Of the nurses, my love," Sophia corrected her. "And only if you agree." "Yes!" Isabella clapped. "Mummy is the best in all the hospitals in the world." After lunch, the three of them went for a walk through the hospital gardens. Ethan had insisted that the design include green spaces where children could play and families could find moments of peace amidst medical crises. "Do you remember when we thought this was impossible?" Sophia asked as they watched Isabella chase butterflies among the flowers. "The hospital or us?" "Everything," Sophia laughed. 2 years ago, I was a nursing student who worked nights in a supermarket, and you were a divorced businessman who couldn't even buy nappies. And now we have this." Ethan pointed to the hospital, then to Isabella, and finally took Sophia's hand. "A family, a purpose, a future. You know what I love most about our story?" Sophia asked. "What?" "That it started with an act of kindness, without expecting anything in return, and it turned into an entire life dedicated to helping others." Ethan kissed her gently. "And that the girl who once helped a desperate stranger is now saving lives every day." Isabella ran towards them with a dandelion she had found. "Make a wish!" she shouted excitedly. Sophia and Ethan looked at each other and smiled. They already had everything they had ever wished for. "You make the wish for us, princess," Sophia said. Isabella closed her eyes with dramatic concentration and blew the dandelion seeds. "What did you wish for?" Ethan asked. "That we can be happy forever, and that all the babies in the hospital get well," Isabella replied, with the innocent wisdom of children. As they walked back towards the hospital, holding hands, the three of them, Sophia reflected on the path that had led them there. The obstacles had been enormous. The social differences, the lies, the legal battle, the media pressure. But every challenge had strengthened their love and their mutual commitment. The sound of her pager pulled her from her thoughts. A new patient had just arrived. "I have to go back to work," she apologized. "We'll wait for you," Ethan said. "Isabella wants to see the babies before we leave." "Only from the window," Sophia warned, "and no more than 5 minutes." "Promise," Isabella shouted as she ran towards the neonatology area. Sophia watched them walk away and felt a deep gratitude fill her chest. Her life wasn't perfect, but it was hers. She had built with Ethan something authentic and lasting, based on shared values and genuine love. As she went to attend to her new patient, Sophia thought of all the lives they had touched, the children she had helped to heal, the families who had found hope in the hospital, the employees who had found dignified jobs in the foundation. It had all started with 20,000 pesos for nappies and baby formula in a supermarket on a random night. A simple act of humanity that had germinated into a love story that changed lives every day. At the end of the hallway, Isabella pressed her nose against the glass of the neonatology window, while Ethan whispered to her how the doctors and nurses took care of the smallest babies. "When I grow up, I'm going to be a doctor like Mummy," Isabella declared. "Nurse, princess, Mummy is a nurse. What's the difference?" "Nurses have the biggest hearts," Ethan replied, looking towards where Sophia had just entered another room to change another life. "And Mummy has the biggest heart of all." At that moment, Sophia turned from the room's window and waved. Isabella waved back with both hands, and Ethan simply smiled, knowing that he had found in her not only the woman of his life, but the perfect partner to build a legacy of love and service. Their love story had begun in the aisles of a supermarket, but it would continue forever in the hearts of all the people whose lives they had touched together. And that, they both thought as they looked at each other through the glass, was the true definition of wealth.